At some point in life, pain walks into your story without asking for permission. It doesn't knock. It doesn't explain itself. It just shows up, changes everything, and leaves you standing there trying to understand how one moment could alter so much. And when pain arrives, the first question most people ask is, why me? But maybe the better question is, what now? Pain has a way of revealing things. It reveals what we're made of. It reveals what really matters. And sometimes it reveals a purpose we never would have discovered any other way. Inky Johnson's story is not about an injury. It's not about football. It's about perspective. Because the truth is, many people lose their dream and think they've lost their destiny. But your dream and your purpose are not the same thing. Dreams can change. Purpose doesn't disappear. There are moments in life when everything you worked for feels like it's been taken from you. The plan you trusted collapses. The future you imagined no longer exists. And you're left holding pain you didn't ask for. But pain does not mean your life is over. Pain means your life is being redirected. Some people let pain make them bitter. Others let pain make them better. The difference isn't what happened to them. The difference is how they responded. Pain will either bury you or build you. And the choice is made not in one big decision, but in small daily decisions, how you talk to yourself, how you interpret what happened, how you show up even when life feels unfair. One of the most dangerous lies pain tells us is that we are finished, that our best days are behind us, that what we lost mattered more than what remains. But pain doesn't get to define your value. Pain doesn't get to decide your future. Pain is an experience, not an identity. When life changes suddenly, you can't always control what happens next, but you can control your perspective. You can control your effort. You can control your attitude. And perspective is everything. Perspective is what allows someone to say, I didn't lose my life. I gained a new assignment. Perspective is what turns why did this happen to me into how can I use this to help someone else? Pain has a strange way of expanding your heart. It gives you empathy you didn't have before. It allows you to see people, not just judge them. And sometimes the very thing that hurts you becomes the thing that heals others. But here's the hard part. Pain doesn't automatically turn into purpose. That transformation requires intentional effort. It requires honesty. It requires courage. And it requires letting go of who you thought you were supposed to be. Most people don't struggle with pain itself. They struggle with accepting a new reality. They keep fighting the past, replaying the moment, wishing things had gone differently. But you can't move forward while holding on to what no longer exists. Acceptance is not giving up. Acceptance is understanding that this is where you are, so you can decide where you're going next. There is strength in adjusting your mindset. Strength in saying, this hurts, but it will not stop me. Strength in saying, I can still contribute. I can still matter. I can still make an impact. Purpose is not about what you lost. Purpose is about what you give. Some of the most powerful people in the world are not powerful because of what they achieved, but because of what they survived. They learned how to show up with humility. They learned how to listen. They learned how to lead with authenticity. Pain strips away the unnecessary, forces you to focus on what truly matters. And sometimes what truly matters is not success, status, or applause, it's impact. If your pain has taught you something, it hasn't been wasted. If your struggle has given you a voice, it hasn't been wasted. If your setback has made you stronger, wiser, or more compassionate, it hasn't been wasted. The problem is many people wait for their pain to disappear before they move forward. But purpose doesn't wait for pain to leave. Purpose is often born right in the middle of it. You don't need to be fully healed to be helpful. You don't need to have all the answers to make a difference. Sometimes your honesty about your pain is what gives someone else permission to keep going. Life isn't about avoiding adversity. It's about learning how to stand when adversity comes. And adversity will come. That's not pessimism, that's reality. The question is not whether you will face pain. The question is whether pain will change you for the worse or shape you for the better. When you stop asking, why did this happen? And start asking, who can I help because of this? Everything changes. Purpose grows when you stop making life about yourself. Pain narrows your focus inward at first, but healing expands your focus outward. There are people right now who need your story, not the polished version, not the highlight reel. They need the real story, the part where you struggled, the part where you doubted yourself, the part where you didn't know how things would turn out. Because hope doesn't come from perfection. Hope comes from perseverance. Your pain does not disqualify you. In many cases, it qualifies you. It qualifies you to speak with credibility, to lead with compassion, to understand suffering without judging it. Sometimes purpose doesn't look like what you imagined. It doesn't come with applause or recognition. Sometimes purpose looks like consistency, showing up, encouraging one person, changing one life. And here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Pain can take things from you, but it can never take your character unless you allow it to. Character is revealed under pressure. Integrity is revealed when life is unfair. Faith is revealed when the outcome is uncertain. You may not be able to control what happened to you, but you can control what kind of person you become because of it. Your story still matters. Your voice still matters. Your life still has value. Don't rush the process. Don't compare your healing to someone else's. Don't let society pressure you to move on before you're ready. Healing is personal. Growth is personal. Purpose unfolds in its own time. But don't stay stuck either. Don't let pain convince you to stop living. Don't let fear convince you to stop trying. You are more than one moment, more than one injury, more than one failure, more than one setback. The moment that changed your life does not get to end your life. Turn your pain into fuel. Turn your pain into wisdom. Turn your pain into service. Because when you find purpose in pain, nothing is wasted. And one day you'll look back and realize that the thing you thought ruined your life was actually the thing that revealed who you were always meant to be. Your pain has a purpose. Your story isn't over, and your life still matters. And here's something most people never realize until pain forces them to slow down. When everything is taken away, what's left is who you really are. Not your title, not your job, not your role, just you, your character, your mindset, your heart. Pain removes the masks. It strips you down to the essentials. And that's uncomfortable because now there's nowhere to hide, but it's also powerful because now you can rebuild from something real. Many people spend their whole lives chasing validation. They want applause. They want recognition. They want to be seen. Pain changes that. Pain teaches you that peace is more valuable than praise. And purpose is more important than popularity. When your life is interrupted, it's easy to feel like you're falling behind, like everyone else is moving forward while you're stuck dealing with something you never asked for. But life isn't a race, and comparison is one of the fastest ways to lose perspective. Your journey doesn't have to look like anyone else's. Your timeline doesn't have to match theirs. What matters is that you keep moving, even if it's slower than before, even if it looks different than you imagined. Some days, moving forward won't look like progress. It will look like getting out of bed, like choosing not to quit, like taking one small step when you don't feel strong. And that counts. That matters. Pain teaches patience. And patience builds strength that shortcuts never could. You may not see it right now, but resilience is being built inside you. Quietly, slowly, deeply. The kind of strength that doesn't break when pressure comes again. Because pressure will come again. Life doesn't stop testing you after one storm. But when you've already been through pain, you don't fear challenges the same way. You know you can survive hard things. One of the biggest shifts you can make is understanding that your worth is not tied to what you can do, but to who you are. You are valuable even on days when you're not productive, even on days when you're struggling, even on days when you feel like you're falling short. Pain doesn't make you less. It makes you human. And being human means feeling deeply, caring deeply, and sometimes hurting deeply. But it also means having the ability to rise, adapt, and transform. There is a quiet power in people who have suffered and still choose kindness, who have been disappointed and still choose hope, who have been broken and still choose purpose. Those people don't speak loudly about their strength. You feel it when they walk into a room. You hear when they speak with honesty. You see it in the way they treat others. Pain can either harden your heart or soften it. And the world doesn't need more hardened hearts. It needs people who understand suffering and still choose compassion. You don't need to have a platform to have purpose. You don't need a microphone to make an impact. Purpose shows up in how you treat people when no one is watching, in how you respond when things don't go your way, in how you choose integrity over convenience. Some people think purpose is something you find. In reality, purpose is something you live. It's revealed through action, not intention. When you stop asking, what do I want from life? And start asking, what does life need from me right now? Purpose becomes clearer. Sometimes life needs your patience. Sometimes it needs your courage. Sometimes it needs your willingness to start over. Starting over is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of wisdom. It means you're brave enough to accept change and humble enough to learn again. Pain often forces reinvention, and reinvention is uncomfortable because it requires letting go of old versions of yourself, versions that felt familiar, even if they no longer fit. But growth demands change. And change demands courage. There will be moments when you miss who you used to be. That's normal. That's human. But don't let nostalgia keep you from becoming who you're meant to be next. You are not behind. You are being prepared. Prepared to lead differently, to love differently, to live with more intention. Pain has a way of slowing you down so you can pay attention to your thoughts, to your habits, to the people around you, to what truly matters. And what truly matters is not perfection, it's presence. Showing up fully, even when life isn't perfect. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to keep going. There will be days when you feel strong and days when you feel fragile. Both are part of the process. Strength doesn't mean never struggling. Strength means not giving up when you do. And remember this, your pain may have changed your path, but it didn't cancel your purpose. It redirected it. Some of the most meaningful contributions in this world come from people who never planned to be where they are. People who adapted, people who listened, people who said yes to a new assignment. Your assignment may not be what you expected, but it is still important. You don't need to rush to inspire others. Live your truth first. Heal honestly. Grow patiently. Purpose will follow. And one day, someone will look at you and see hope, not because you avoided pain, but because you faced it and kept moving. That is leadership. That is purpose. That is power. There is a moment in every long struggle where silence becomes louder than noise. When the calls stop coming, when the support fades, when people move on with their lives and you're left sitting with your thoughts, that silence can either teach you or destroy you. It depends on what you do with it. Silence is where truth lies. It's where you confront yourself without distractions. And for many people, that's terrifying because now you can't blame circumstances. You can't blame other people. You're forced to look inward and ask, who am I becoming through this? Pain has a way of slowing life down so you can hear questions you've been avoiding. Questions about purpose, about values, about identity. Questions that success often drowns out. And here's the reality. When everything is going well, you don't usually question much. But when things fall apart, you start paying attention. You start listening. You start searching for meaning. Meaning is what turns survival into significance. You don't grow by pretending everything is fine. You grow by being honest about what hurts. Honesty is the beginning of healing. And healing is not about erasing pain. It's about learning how to live with wisdom because of it. Some days, healing looks strong. Other days, it looks quiet. It looks like boundaries. It looks like saying no. It looks like walking away from things that drain you. Pain teaches you discernment. You stop wasting energy on what doesn't matter. You stop chasing approval from people who don't understand your journey, and that's okay. Not everyone is meant to understand your path. Some people only know the version of you that existed before the pain. They don't recognize who you're becoming, and that's fine. Growth often creates distance, not because you think you're better than others, but because you're no longer willing to abandon yourself. Pain teaches you how to value your time, your energy, and your presence. You realize that life is fragile. Moments are precious, and bitterness is too expensive to carry. Holding on to anger feels powerful at first, but over time, it drains you. Forgiveness is not about excusing what happened. It's about freeing yourself from carrying it forever. You don't forgive because people deserve it. You forgive because you deserve peace. And peace doesn't mean life is easy. It means you're no longer fighting battles that steal your future. One of the most powerful realizations you can have is this. Pain does not mean you're weak. Pain means you cared. Pain means you tried. Pain means you invested yourself in something meaningful. Indifference doesn't hurt. Commitment does. So if you're hurting, don't shame yourself for it. Honor it. Learn from it. Let it shape you, not shrink you. You don't have to rush into the next chapter. Rushing leads to repeating lessons. Take the time to understand what this season is teaching you. Some lessons are about patience. Some are about humility. Some are about resilience. And some are about letting go. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing not to live in the past. It means trusting that something new can still be built. And something new doesn't have to be bigger to be meaningful. It just has to be aligned. Alignment is when your actions match your values. When your life reflects what truly matters to you. Pain often realigns you. It removes distractions. It exposes false priorities. And while that process is uncomfortable, it's necessary because living out of alignment is exhausting. Pretending to be someone you're not is exhausting. Chasing goals that don't fulfill you is exhausting. Pain wakes you up. It forces you to ask, is this how I want to live? And if the answer is no, then pain becomes a turning point, not a dead end. Some people never make that turn. They stay bitter. They stay stuck. They stay angry at a world that didn't meet their expectations. But you don't have to live that way. You can choose growth over resentment. You can choose wisdom over regret. You can choose purpose over peace. That choice won't be loud. It won't be dramatic. It will be quiet and consistent. It will show up in how you speak to yourself, in how you handle setbacks, in how you respond when things don't go your way. Character is built in those moments. And character is what sustains you when motivation fades. Motivation comes and goes. Purpose stays. Purpose gives you a reason to keep showing up, even when the results are slow, even when progress is invisible, even when the road is lonely. And the road can be lonely, especially when you're changing. But loneliness doesn't mean you're lost. Sometimes it means you're being refined. Refinement requires separation. Just like gold is separated from impurities, growth often separates you from old habits, old mindsets, and sometimes old relationships. That's not loss. That's preparation. Preparation for a version of you that can carry more responsibility, more influence, more impact. Pain prepares you for that weight. Without pain, many people collapse under success. With pain, you learn humility, gratitude, and perspective. Perspective changes everything. It allows you to appreciate what you have instead of obsessing over what you lost. It allows you to find joy even when life isn't perfect. Joy doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means choosing hope within it. Hope is not optimism without evidence. Hope is the belief that effort still matters, and effort always matters. Every day you choose to get up, to try again, to keep going, that matters. Even when no one sees it, especially when no one sees it, because unseen effort builds inner strength. And inner strength lasts longer than applause. One day, you'll look back and realize that this season shaped you more than any success ever could. It taught you who you are when things don't go your way. It taught you what you're capable of surviving. It taught you how strong you really are. And that knowledge can never be taken from you. Your pain did not ruin you. It revealed you. And what it revealed is someone capable of turning struggle into strength, loss into wisdom, and pain into purpose. Keep going. Your story is still unfolding. There comes a point in the journey where you stop asking for life to go back to the way it was. You stop replaying old memories as if they might change. You stop bargaining with the past. Instead, you start asking a deeper question. Who do I need to become now? That question changes everything, because growth doesn't begin when circumstances improve. Growth begins when your mindset shifts, when you stop waiting for permission to live fully again, when you stop needing closure from situations that will never explain themselves. Some answers never come, and you have to learn how to move forward anyway. That's one of the hardest lessons pain teaches: how to walk without certainty, how to trust yourself when the future looks unfamiliar, how to keep your integrity when the outcome is unclear. But uncertainty doesn't mean hopelessness. It means possibility. The future is not closed just because the past hurt you. In fact, many of the most meaningful futures are built by people who were forced to rebuild from the ground up. Rebuilding takes patience. It takes humility. It takes the willingness to start small. And starting small doesn't mean thinking small. It means respecting the process. Every strong foundation is built slowly, brick by brick, day by day, choice by choice. Pain forces you to slow down enough to build something real instead of something rushed. Before pain, many people chase speed. After pain, they chase substance. They learn that fast success without depth collapses under pressure. But slow growth with character lasts. Character is what shows up when things are inconvenient, when quitting would be easier, when excuses would be justified. Pain teaches you discipline. Not because you want to be disciplined, but because you have to be. And that discipline becomes one of your greatest strengths. You stop relying on motivation. You stop waiting to feel ready. You learn how to act even when emotions are unstable. Because emotions change. Purpose doesn't. Purpose anchors you where everything else feels uncertain. And purpose doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it nudges. Sometimes it simply asks you to be faithful where you are. Faithful with your attitude. Faithful with your effort. Faithful with your character. Pain teaches you that doing the right thing matters more than feeling the right thing. And that lesson changes how you show up in every area of life. You become more intentional, more thoughtful, more grounded. You stop reacting to everything. You start responding. You stop chasing validation. You start seeking alignment. Alignment brings peace. Not because life becomes easy, but because your life finally makes sense. Even the hard parts, especially the hard parts. When you look back, you realize that pain didn't just change what you do. It changed how you see. You see people differently. You see success differently. You see struggle differently. You stop judging people by their highlights and start honoring their humanity. You understand that everyone is fighting something you can't see. And that understanding makes you gentler, stronger, wiser. Wisdom is one of pain's greatest gifts. Wisdom teaches you when to push and when to rest, when to speak and when to stay silent, when to hold on and when to let go. Without pain, many people never develop wisdom. They stay talented but shallow, confident but fragile. Pain gives you depth, and depth allows you to lead, not just perform. People don't follow perfection. They follow authenticity. They follow people who have been tested and didn't lose themselves in the process. Your scars are not signs of weakness. They are evidence of survival. And survival, when paired with purpose, becomes leadership. Leadership is not about position. It's about influence. And influence comes from trust. People trust those who understand pain because they know you won't minimize theirs. You don't rush people through healing. You don't shame people for struggling. You don't pretend to have all the answers. You walk with them. That's purpose. Purpose isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet consistency, showing up, listening, encouraging, serving. And sometimes purpose looks like choosing hope on days when despair feels easier. Hope is a decision, not blind optimism, not denial. A decision to believe that your effort still matters, that your life still has meaning, that tomorrow is still worth showing up for. Pain tries to convince you otherwise. It tells you to lower your expectations, to protect yourself by not caring. But purpose asks you to stay open, to stay engaged, to stay willing. That takes courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is choosing to move forward while fear is present. Pain doesn't eliminate fear. It teaches you how to walk with it. And once you learn that, fear loses its power over you. You realize you've already survived things you once thought would break you. That knowledge builds confidence that no achievement ever could. Confidence rooted in survival is unshakable. It's not based on success. It's based on resilience. Resilience doesn't mean you never fall apart. It means you know how to put yourself back together again and again. Life will test you more than once. Pain will visit more than once. But each time you will carry more wisdom, more strength, more perspective. And perspective changes how much power pain has over you. Pain no longer defines you. It refines you. It no longer stops you. It shapes you. It no longer silences you. It gives you a voice. And that voice matters. Not because it's loud, but because it's real. Your story matters not because it's dramatic, but because it's honest. And honesty has the power to heal, both you and others. So keep walking, even when it's slow, even when it's quiet. Even when no one is cheering, you are not lost. You are being formed. And the purpose being formed inside you is stronger than the pain that started this journey.